So let's kind of get back into the entrepreneur side of things. If you had an entrepreneur come to you, what's the like day one? Like, what's the first thing, like first process you think that they need to learn?
Number one thing that most of my clients get ripped through, whether they want to or not, when they start working with me, is a time study.
Like how much time, like what they're doing?
You document every single thing you're doing for 2 weeks in 15-minute increments, and you can hate your life. I'm just telling you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've talked about it in my book. I've got a whole like downloadable PDF on it. And I've actually created a Google sheet that allows them to track it. Because one of the problems I ran into was like, hey, here's the steps on how to do this. And then people came back to me like, well, where do I do it? Where do I document it? Where do I write it down? Like, I don't care. Figure it out.
Google Calendar is amazing.
Yeah. Notes on your phone or whatever.
My Google Calendar is color coded and organized to a T.
So that's the part of the process. And the reason we do that is to start to train people to live and die by the calendar, right? Like, hey, if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist kind of deal. But in that time study, and I tell them to do it for 2 weeks, it usually takes about 3 days. 3 days in, people are like, I didn't realize I spent that much time in the toilet.
Yeah. Oh man, I spent a lot of time scrolling.
Doom scrolling.
Yeah. So we look for those gaps and we say, okay, well, now you're aware. Once you're aware, awareness brings clarity. And once you have clarity and awareness, we can say, all right, well, how do we fix this? And a lot of it comes into not just on the personal side of the house, wasting time, but who's doing redundant crap in the business. As a business owner, why are you doing $10 an hour tasks? Meanwhile, you're worth $250 an hour. Right. So part of that process is them documenting and figuring out how much their WPH is, their worth per hour. Once we have that baseline established, how come you're doing $15 an hour tasks? How come you're doing $20 an hour tasks? Like that should be somebody else doing it. Well, I don't have anyone trained on it. Cool. That's where we're going to start. We're going to go build a process for that. And once we start building these processes, we can start delegating them to others, or we can automate them at some point in time. And it just buys back a ton of time for this business owner where they can go focus the time on more important revenue generating activities.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. I know I had an issue with this. Like when from where I'm at now, from when I started, is like handing things off. Like that was my biggest thing. Like, oh, I can just do it. I'll do it better. I can do it faster. I'll just,
take me 2 seconds. I'll just do it now.
Yeah. But those 2 seconds,
22 minutes later.
Yeah. Those 2 seconds add up and continue to add up. And now it's like, I mainly focus on focus on the things that I want to focus on. I love my team and they help so much, but I think that's one of the hardest parts for most people is finding somebody to hand that shit off to.
Yeah. And part of that time study too is figuring out those things that you don't like to do, right? Like why are you subjecting yourself? Like for me, for instance, like I'm not your bookkeeper. Never want to be, never claim to be, like, but I also understand the importance of it in business. Right. Like it has to get done. So one of the first things that I will always get off my plate when I start a new company or get involved with somebody else is like, hey, who's handling the bookkeeping? Because we need to make sure that all the data is correct. Because when we go into QuickBooks, we want to pull an accurate P&L at any point in time. Like I don't want to wait for it. All right, so let's get that delegated. Let's get the professionals in there and get that thing just taken care of.
Yeah.
I hate the accounting stuff as well.
I'm a numbers guy. I'm all right. I don't mind that side of things.
You can do all of that, buddy. Can you think of a lesson that you've learned from one of your clients?
Lesson I've learned from my clients. I'll have to think on a specific one, but it happens often and I actually enjoy when it happens.
Sure. Yeah. I can imagine.
Everyone's got experiences. Everyone's got different experiences. People are experts in different areas of life and business. And oftentimes I'll be on a coaching call with a client and we will switch seats. And it's like, it's not planned. It's just kind of like out of blue. And it's like, oh shit. And all of a sudden the person's talking to me as if I'm the client.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I asked that is because I think I have a business coach and, I can think of a few instances where I've taught him something,
Yeah, I actually like that. I'm very willing and open to receive that from my clients too. And it's good. It's humbling. It keeps the conversation going good as well. And also gives mutual respect for each other. Right. Cause like one of the problems I have with the coaching industry is a lot of the coaches put themselves on a pedestal and like, I'm fucking better than you.
Yeah.
Like, no, cut that shit, dude. Like, yeah, maybe you made good money in a certain thing that you were good at, but it doesn't mean overall that you're a better human being than anybody else. This is part of a lot of my personal growth over the last couple of years too, is being more willing and open to learn from others, even if they may not be at the same level as me, if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to say that from a derogatory standpoint, right? Like just be willing and open to learn from somebody that you meet who may be able to give you some really good, solid insight and feedback, because you don't know whenever you're going to need that information in the near future.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because that kind of ties into the question that I was wanting to ask you. So you've built a brand and a business. How do you separate Tomas, the entrepreneur, from Tomas, the person?
I don't know if there really has to be much separation. That's kind of what I've been moving to over the last couple of years. I've been putting family first more than ever in my business the last almost 2 years at this point. Look, man, I got young kids. I know you guys do too. My oldest is 14. My youngest is going to be 7, or going to be 7 in 2 weeks. And 2 of them are going to be 7, not just 1.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Twins.
Yeah. Spending time with them is of utter importance to me. It's one of the reasons that I do most of my work from home. It's one of the reasons that I block off Fridays. Friday's a non-work day. Fridays, we'll call it an admin / just in case day.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't allow anyone
I like to call those day less days.
Yeah. So if I have to work on a Friday, damn right I will. Right? Because sometimes we have overflow and we got projects and things need to happen. You make a commitment to somebody. But Friday, for the most part, is blocked off. And if you go into if I send you guys one of my calendar links, right, you're never going to see Friday open ever. Okay. But if you had a situation that popped up and you called me, I probably got time for you on Friday, kind of deal. Clients who are listening to this, do not overstep your bounds. But that right there is just the utter importance of me wanting to be fully present for the family as much as possible.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I've definitely, over the last year, it's something I've been doing as well. And I was talking to my wife about this recently, and my oldest is about to be 3. My youngest is 8 months now, and my oldest is just such a mama's boy. And I was telling her the other day, I was like, I feel like I'm connecting so much more with our youngest than I was with my oldest, and she's like, well, you're around a lot more. Oh, right, I am. I kind of made a switch over like the last year.
Yeah.
Really, honestly, ever since we started kind of doing this podcast, and kind of having to live the things that I'm talking about on here, and holding me accountable and making sure that I'm going to be the best dad possible. And I've kind of made that switch as well.
That's awesome.
Well, yeah, and then I guess probably hearing from my side, because I don't have my boys all the time, so I have them every couple of days. So it's when I don't have them, I'm going to work my ass off, and I'm going to get a lot of work in. But those days that I have them, or that I got to pick them up from school, they got to be picked up by 4.
Yep.
So I'm picking them up at 4, and then my youngest from preschool by 4:15, 4:30, and then my phone's down.
Yeah,
that time is being spent with them, and that's for me. And then I have them every other weekend. So, I'll tell people like, hey, I'm available on the weekends, but it's going to be around that schedule with the kids if I absolutely need to. But you don't see a whole lot of that anymore in this industry. There used to be a ton of it, but not so much anymore. But yeah, I mean, that's been the biggest thing for me. With this divorce, is realizing the importance of time. I mean, I've always been pretty good with keeping my time blocking, but time with people, time with kids, time with building that relationship. Because my kids are the same; they're mama's boys.
Yep.
And that's fine. They're 5 and 6 years old. Eventually, there's going to be a shift in that. But I want to make sure that when that shift happens, that I'm doing the things now that they can ease into that shift and feel comfortable going from being a mama's boy to dad's boy.
Yeah.
So
one thing I want to touch on, because I know you got a question you're about to hit me with. I was very fortunate in my service-based company that my ex-business partner was 10 years my senior, and he had kids who were older than my kids. I got to see what the future 10 years of my life looked like before I had to live it. And that's one of the reasons that I got out of the business with him. I was like, man, we make good money, and this dude's on the road nonstop. He hasn't seen his kids grow up for the most part. Yes, he spends some weekends and some time with them. Don't get me wrong, he does. He's a good dad. I'll never take that away from him. He's also one of the hardest working dudes I've ever met in my life. But he missed a lot of life with his kids and his wife because of the business. And still to this day, he still owns and operates the company. I'm sure nothing changed, because that's just his mentality. So I got to see this glimpse of what my life would have looked like if I had continued down that road. And I said, not for me.
See, and I wish I would have taken that same approach, because my business partner is the same way. He's 20 years older than I am. And just the way he's, worked and all that, being away from his family. I was like, I should have learned that lesson. But when I got in, I didn't have kids, and I was go, 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 go. I want to be the best at this. That's just always been my mentality. And I just never made that shift once the kids were born that I did. I mean, kids always came first, but I would put business in front of them. And even though I'm sitting here saying that they come first, but there was times where business took priority and I would put business first. And that was a downfall that I had to learn. And ever since then, it's like, nope, kids are most important. Yeah. So yeah, it kind of leads into what I was going to ask you is, you mentioned the shift in your life came when you found out your wife was pregnant with, or your ex-wife was pregnant with your first. How does fatherhood shape the way you approach leadership and business? There's
so many crossovers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like setting expectations, for instance, if you don't set proper expectations for your kids and the way you want something done, right? Like, hey, Monday night, we take garbage out to the front of the house kind of deal. And this is how it's done. This is where the cans get placed. Don't forget. And we have one of those garbage trucks that comes by and just picks up with a claw. Yeah. So the cans have to face a certain direction. If I hadn't given the kids specific instructions on how to go and do that process, like it would be done wrong every time. Right. And of course it was done wrong the first 2 or 3 times and you have to correct. The same thing applies to your employees. You can't just hire someone and be like, hey, sit over my shoulder here for 3 weeks and watch everything I do. And after 3 weeks, I'm going to expect you to do everything as well as I do. And I've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. Right. And that dude retained 1/100th of all the things you threw at him over the last 3 weeks. So that's where processes come into place when it comes to business and whatnot. But there's so many similarities there. Like the kids, like I don't have formal written processes and stuff for the kids at home, but there is some structure, right? Hey, you're responsible for this tonight. You're responsible for this. You're responsible for this. And the next night, you guys are going to trade places. So all of you understand how to do all of these things. I see some crossover there too. I think that's important in the business world as well. It's like, hey, we only have one person in-house who specializes in this thing. And if that person's out sick or calls in sick or decides one day, hey, I quit, or unfortunately gets run over by a bus, like who's going to handle that? So the other team members have to have some understanding of
what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, and that kind of leads into, so like being a stepdad, how does your role with your girlfriend's kids, do you parent them, or how does that work for you with them? Are you as hands-on, or are you a little bit more standoffish because they may not be your kids, or have you talked to their father about how they want to parent and how things like that?
Their dad's not really that involved, unfortunately. Okay. I try to parent them as just the same I do my own kids. Okay. There have been a couple of situations that pop up where I'm like, hey, before I open my mouth, I'm going to have a conversation with you, my woman, before we have the conversation with the kids kind of deal. And vice versa as well. Like, it's a unique situation. Like, 7 kids is a lot of damn kids in one house.
Brady Bunch, man.
Yeah. We have just add water family.
Yeah.
we have 4 girls in the house 24/7. They're with us all the time. Okay. Their dad lives out of state. He sees them maybe once a year. Right. So we have 4 kids full time at any given time. Like, that's a lot of kids in a normal household.
Right.
Right. And then you add, my 3 in there and it's like, whoa, craziness.
You guys drive a bus around?
Buy one of those sprinters.
So I'm all for it. And I've been trying to get that going now for a year and a half. And she is a hard pass.
Okay.
Hard pass. Yeah. So us road trips and traveling, it's 2 vehicles.
Okay.
Gotta be, yeah.
We had a house in Utah up until July of this year. And we kind of split time between Dallas and Utah, just out of Salt Lake City. And we made 2 trips with the kids there and back.
That's a long drive, right?
Yeah. It's like, it's 18 hours or so with no stops. So realistically, it's more like 20, 21. But you're stopping at least once and staying overnight.
Yeah.
Really cool experience with them. But just a lot of kids, a lot of cars, a lot of snacks, a lot of mess in the car.
Sure. Of course. Man. Well, if you had to completely start over tomorrow, no money, no connections, just your experience, how would you do it? How would you rebuild?
It's a great question. How would I rebuild? I'd probably take a little bit more of the traditional approach than what people are doing now in the digital sense. That makes sense.
Elaborate.
A lot of people want to come out and do this right here. excuse me, they want a podcast, they want to use social media, they want to go post and say, come buy my shit. And cool, those things work. It's one of the ways I get business now.
Sure.
But I think there is a missing element that has kind of dissipated over time as the rise of digital marketing has grown. Right? Digital marketing used to be one of those things where like you had to be a big corporation to do it and do it well. And now, I mean, I'm wearing a high level shirt here, guys. If you haven't noticed, like I run high level in my own company and I help my clients implement a lot of high level solutions. And yes, it's great. It's a fantastic tool. I wouldn't use any other platform right now, but at the same point in time, we're missing a lot of the human touch. Like this company is coming out now with AI bots that call people for you. Cool. I'll nerd out in that shit all day with the best of them. But there's something missing with someone like on your team just picking up the phone and calling somebody. Right? A lead comes over and you actually picked up the phone and called them rather than send them an automated SMS. So I think there's got to be more of a human touch, human element that comes to it. You know, go knock some doors, go see some people face to face, sit down like this, break some bread with people, have some real conversations, because it's in the human connection that we actually make the connections that make business work.
Yeah,
I
totally agree on our side of the business for sure. I mean, if you look at how many people get phone calls from, you know, some call farm in wherever, you know, hey, I want to buy your house kind of thing. It just, most people hang up immediately.
Yep.
And people, at least in our industry, people want to work with people they're friends with. I mean, that's kind of how I look at my business: make a friend, make a sale. And, you know, I think that's a huge piece of, I mean, you can apply that to any business.
Yeah.
Right.
You sure can.
Absolutely. If you had to give a no BS breakdown of what separates successful entrepreneurs from those who fail, what would it be?
Tenacity, never giving up, small steps forward daily, kind of stuff we talked about before. Not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows and unicorn farts, just not. It's the days, and this is where I think lessons from the gym and fitness come in big time. The days when you show up when you don't want to are often the best days where you perform the best in the gym that day.
Damn right. Yes.
Right. Like I've had some of my best PRs lifting wise on the days where I felt like dog crap and had a stiff back when I woke up. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym today. And then you get there and you move some monster weight.
Yeah. It literally happened to me last night. I had this, you know, when I walked in here today, I was on the phone with trying to solve this deal that's supposed to close today. And I was just irritated. I was like, I'm just going to go to the gym 8:30 at night. Not ideal. Didn't make it here earlier today because I was, you know, but I got to get it in. I got to check that box. You know, ended up hitting a, 15-pound PR on strict press last night. Sweet, you know, but I was just fucking irritated and pissed. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go in there and just give it hell. And it's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.